CEO Ronald Wickler from Creating the Difference. We're going to talk to you today about bowling ball changes, something a little bit different from CTD, but we're going to give you some information that'll help you make better decisions when you're bowling. Now, one of the best parts of this is we've actually got a bowler, a CTD staffer here to help us with the video ourselves, and what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about a brand new ball from Radical called the Informer. We're actually going to talk a little bit about what this ball is and what this ball does. And we're going to have Aaron help us out with that. You can see one of the things with this bowling ball is the finish. It says it's 500, 1,000, 1,500 grit. This ball is a brand new bowling ball. So while Aaron is finished getting warmed up here on lane 4, which she's actually bowling on the house pattern, which is Wall Street version 2. It's a very fresh pattern, and she's bowling on the AMF SPL lane service. So she's going to get finalized here. A couple shots for her, just to kind of make sure she's nice and lined up. She left a flat 10 pin there. We're actually going to go look at the Informer, and we're going to take a look at it using the surface scanner. So we're actually going to see what the surface is on this bowling ball. So we'll go ahead and do that here real quick. Go ahead and get a rough idea of what the surface is of the bowling ball, like so. And this bowling ball is averaging right at about 1,000 grit, right? So this ball is at about 1,000 grit from the factory. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to have Aaron throw that bowling ball for us, and we're going to kind of capture some shots, and we're going to be able to see exactly what that means in terms of performance. So I will grab the ball. Aaron, get yourself a fresh rack there, and I'll let you throw the Radical Informer. If you're interested in picking up this piece, you can go to bowlingforless.com and pick up the Radical Informer, as well as get yourself a free True Cut pad. That's always useful. The ball scanned at 1,000 grit right to start. So we're going to have Aaron throw some shots for us, talk a little bit about the ball reaction, a little bit about the ball motion. So to start off with, the ball she was throwing was actually a Zen from Rotogrip, and that ball is a clean ball, shiny, gets down the lane pretty aggressively, makes a move on the back end. This ball here, being 1,000 grit, is going to be a lot more rolly, a lot more controllable, could be a lot more hooked too. So we'll just have her throw some shots, and we'll take a peek at it. See the oil is just absorbing in pretty quickly on that ball, which is a trademark of a reactive ball. One of the big differences between urethane and reactive is the ability to absorb oil. So urethane balls do not absorb oil, reactive balls do. See that ball pick up really early. Was able to hold pocket there to be able to give her a strike. Nice shot there. That ball's definitely aggressive though. Definitely going to be a much more aggressive piece. This is something you're going to use typically when the lanes are fresh, like now, or when you're bowling in a heavy oiled environment. Both of those situations would be good for this ball. And then honestly, what you would do over time is you would go ahead and once that ball began to hook too early, you'd begin to switch out of that piece into something that would go a little bit longer. This is the ball it's going to be, when it's in play, it's going to be good. It's going to allow you to be able to create some angle and going to allow you to be able to create a little bit of room for error. But when it's time to put it away, you'll definitely know it. Also, this is a great ball for Aaron's style of play. You can see she is more of that medium to lower rev rate category, medium ball speed, which is going to be good to be able to take advantage of an asymmetrical piece like this ball. It's going to be able to allow that ball to start up. Typically, somebody like Aaron's going to struggle typically getting the bowling ball to start up and begin to make a move. But because she's got a bowling ball with so much surface, and because this ball is a strong piece, it's actually going to be a really great fit for her game as well as her arsenal in general. So we'll see what happens on this shot here. Further right. And it's strong. I mean, you can kind of see that. You can see that that shape of that bowling ball is definitely aggressive. It definitely, when it wants to make the move, it's going to make a pretty strong move. And what I'm really curious to see is just how much room for error this ball gives you. Typically, when you've got bowling balls that are strong like this, they're going to be able to allow you to create a little bit of room for errors, primarily when you miss in and you catch a little bit more oil. It'll still pick up just enough to be able to hit and get that pesky 10 pin out. So I'm kind of curious to kind of see how that works. And we're also going to look at the surface of her bowling ball over time here. So what we're going to do is we definitely are going to let her bowl a game for sure with just this ball. And then we're going to take a look. That's a good one. Yeah, nice, strong, aggressive move. Take a look at the surface change over time too. So we're going to let Erin continue bowling here, and then we're going to check back in and after a game and see if the surface has changed at all. So stay tuned. All right, so Erin's going to finish up her game here. She's going right at about a 200 game. She's going to throw one more shot with the new Radical Informer. Not a bad shot. She'll shoot 198 for the score, which will allow us to take the bowling ball and check the surface to see how it's changed in one game. One of the things that people always ask is, should I change the surface of my bowling ball? Does the surface of my bowling ball change over time? So we're going to answer that question. So I'm going to put the bowling ball back here, like so. We'll put it back up, get it where we need it to be, and then we will check it again. So it was 1,016 grit before. And now that ball has moved to 2872. Let's rotate the ball a little bit more. We'll get it off of that spot. Just kind of see. That's a pretty big change. You can tell already. It's a pretty big change from 1,000 to 2870. Well, let's check this another spot on the ball. So we'll go ahead and do that as well. All right. And that's 3,000. So in one game, we've moved a substantial amount in terms of the grit. And you can tell that the ball looks a lot different, obviously. So what's happening is not only is the bowling ball changing, but the grit of the bowling ball is changing. We'll do one more scan. And what that means is that it's important to keep your bowling balls fresh in terms of the surface if you want to keep getting a good, consistent reaction. Yeah, and that's even a little bit higher. It's 3,100. So it's right at about $3,000, which will have her now bowl another game. So she will bowl another game. We will film the surface change after game 2, because I think this is important for people to understand how your bowling ball changes over time. The more your bowling ball changes, the more your reaction is going to change, and knowing that on the front side is kind of a big deal. Stay tuned. All right, so game 2 is now officially over. We're going to take the ball and check it again. We're going to see how the surface is holding up on the Informer. All right, we'll get the ball set up here. Remember, it was 3180 after game 1. So now we'll check it again after game 2. So that is 3956. So now it's approaching 4,000. Now remember, this is just 2 games worth of bowling, so we're not talking about a lot of bowling here. Nonetheless, we are being able to see a pretty substantial surface change out of the ball after 2 games from the factory finish surface. Let me do that again. There we go. We'll get that ball scanned. There we go. 3692. Let's do one more. Just trying to get a good average. Obviously, the surface of the bowling ball is pretty different now than it was before. So 34, so close to 35, 3,600. That's kind of where the ball's at now. So what we'll do is we'll have her bowl one more game. Let's do one more game, which would be indicative of a league session. And we'll find out exactly kind of where this ball is going to end up at in just 3 games from the surface standpoint. We'll watch the reaction ball motion too. Now, there's a couple of things going on here. It's not just the ball changing, right? So like the lanes changing as well. So that's all going to play a role in terms of how your bowling ball reacts. And that's why it's important that you understand about surface. You got that out a little further and you can see it's making a pretty aggressive move down lane. So the surface change, the lane change is part of the equation of bowling and understanding when and why you should change reaction. So that was a really good pitch there. You can see that ball is a good ball when you need to be able to get that bowling ball to get into that heavy roll and keep making a move, even though the surface has actually changed, right? We've shown the surface has changed more than 2,000 grit points by now, just in 2 games. So we'll watch her throw one more shot. Then we'll let her continue to bowl game 3. Then we will take a look and see exactly what that finish is. So that one's in a little bit more, but it holds to be able to get the corner pins out, which is a good example of why it's important to have the right ball motion in your hand. If you have the right ball motion in your hand, you can get room for error like you're seeing right here. Those 2 shots were a little bit different, but yet the result was still the same. So one of the questions you may have is why does the bowling ball surface change? Well, actually, it's not the lane like you may think. It's actually all of the equipment that creates the surface change. And you can kind of see this belt down here. The ball's got to run on that. It's got to come over here to this belt over here and get rolled back down to you. And all of that is going to end up changing the surface of the bowling ball. So now you got a little more insight as to why your bowling ball surface changes, even though it looks like you would think that the lane's doing it, but actually it's all the equipment that goes on. You can see another system doing the exact same thing, another set of belts showing you exactly why the surface of your bowling ball changes and how that matters. So now you got a little more information about why the surface of the bowling ball changes. Stay tuned. Finish up the 10th frame here for game number 3. Erin's been wiping her ball off every shot with the CTD BFP to help keep that oil off the bowling ball. And we'll now officially have right at 3 games on the ball. It's a good pitch. Ball's a nice, aggressive move. This is kind of neat because she's actually being able to use it all 3 games. You can kind of see the reaction being a really usable piece, especially for someone that's got her style of rev rate, her style of ball speed, which is actually pretty common for the average league bowler. So she's got 2 more shots here. We'll let her throw those 2 more shots, and then we will scan the ball one last time, kind of see where that surface kind of ends up. Remember, we started at about 1,000 grit, and now we are definitely into the 3,000 grit range with that bowling ball after 2 games. Radical Informer, that one's a little bit right, so will it come back? Close, a little further right, Did not come all the way back. Now I would be willing to tell you that probably if there was some more surface on that ball, it was kind of close to how it was initially, it probably would have came back. But obviously, as you've now seen, and may not even have known, but you can see how quickly the surface of that ball changes. And remember, this was from the factory. This was a factory finish surface right off the bat. Ball had never been thrown before, so now we're getting a quick peek at how surface truly does impact your bowling ball motion and performance over time. She'll convert to spare. She'll have 181 there, and we will do one last scan. We appreciate Erin coming over here to the CTD Education Center. She actually won this opportunity as a benefit of being part of the group. You get unique opportunities to come and do some bowling ball reviewing, in this particular case, and helping us educate you, the consumer, on new things in bowling. So we were at 34.51. Like I said, right around that. You can see the bowling ball looks a lot shinier than it did before. Just visually, it looks shinier. All right, and that scan gives us to 39.57. We're doing different spots on the ball. Obviously, that helps as well. So we'll do another scan here. All right, 39.06. And let's get one more spot on the ball, just one more. Can't hurt. And in our experience, the bowling ball actually would end up when it's all said and done, right around, that's actually a bad skin. You can see that drop right there. That's means I hit a hole. So we'll get off of the hole and do that again. There we go. That big dip can mess up the average, as it kind of was. So we'll take a peek and see what this is. There we go. So it's almost a 4,000, right? The ball pretty much now is about 4,000 grit. You can kind of see that it looks like about 4,000 grit, which has just happened in 3 games. What I will tell you is over time, the ball will kind of end up right at around 4,800. That's kind of where the bowling balls like to end up, and that's where they kind of stay at once they get there. If this ball was a shiny ball, it would have worked its way down to 4,800, but it being a dull ball, it's actually polished itself up to 4,800. So we appreciate you guys kind of hanging out with us, learning a little bit more about surface change, what surface can do to your bowling ball reaction. As always, if you have more questions or need more information, make sure you check us out at ctdbowling.com. Ronald Hickler, CEO from Creating a Difference. Have a great day.